All right, everybody, welcome back to the SU Gang podcast. It was an interesting week 17. And first, we're going to go off to our initial reactions. As a Giants fan, I went to the game yesterday. It was it was interesting to say the least. It's just what they do every year. You think they're going to win, then they get so close, they don't. I give credit to the defense, Dane Belton in specific, 3 turnovers. But overall, fun week of football for me. Mason Crosby stinks.
Al got the
Yeah,
biggest one with the Chicago Bears. You were also there, right?
yeah, I went there yesterday. It was pretty damn cold though. It was snowing, and I will say, man, once I got home, I just wanted to stay inside the whole time. I did not want to go back outside. It was really, really cold, but good win by the Bears. The Fields had a phenomenal performance through the air and on the ground, rushing touchdown, 45 rushing yards, along with 268 passing yards and three passing touchdowns, and DJ Moore with about nine receptions for 159 yards and a touchdown. Pardon me. And Khalil Herbert, he did well on the ground as well. So this offense is doing pretty well. This defense has been so good ever since Montez Sweat has come. And yeah, even though we're eliminated officially, 7 wins. I won't complain about 7 wins.
So first off, Seattle, it was a very mundane game if you were not a fan. For me, it was a slow torture because the Steelers attacked with the run game. Najee Harris had a career game, and while he did have some really good moves, including stiff arming Tariq Woolen into probably another dimension, it they pretty much just attacked, and when he wasn't there, Jalen Warren was there, and it pretty much it was frustrating to see how we would stack the box multiple times, and our defense could literally not tackle for shit. So that was like the main way, and then there were times where we just thought it was a run after doing a bunch of that, and boom, it was a big pass to George Pickens. So I will compliment George Pickens. He did have some amazing catches. I really hope he gets more involved in the offense. Seems like an upward trend from the Bengals game where he doesn't just have one amazing catch a game and then goes away. He truly can be, I think, one of the best receivers in this league once they keep doing that. Um, Honestly, the only main highlight as a Seahawks fan was just that DK had another good game, over 100 yards. He actually got in another 1,000-yard season, second in a row. So he's doing pretty good. That's like our one upside. And I guess Kenneth Walker had a few runs, but yeah, mainly our defense sucked. Our offense was actually not completely terrible. And that fumble in the end zone kind of changed or not the end zone, the near the end zone kind of just changed the tone of the game because then they could get a touchdown.
But
And
DK dropped too, right?
yeah, that too, but like that fumble just hurt me because then they got the touchdown and then we tried to do a quick drill, got a touchdown, but like just wasn't. And then that DK one especially hurt. Yeah, that was pain. But overall, gives a lot of questions about coaching and stuff. I don't fully know how to process it yet. I'm not gonna lie, but I feel like that might need to be where we look at, and our defense just not being able to tackle
Thoughts
sucks.
on the Bills?
Oh yeah, Bills. Bills, that was another very ugly win. In fact, I felt like I kind of lost 2 games in a row. Our defense balled out the first quarter. We got a interception by the big boy at Oliver. It was a tip from a safety. And then we got an interception or no, and then a fumble and then another interception. Two of those picks were by Rasul Douglas. One of them was a pick six. Other than that, it was how we pretty much got 20 points. But other than that, our offense was really stagnant. Josh Allen, some people shit on him. He did have some bad stuff, but he also had no time, arguably, to throw. And there were some other times where receivers blatantly just dropped stuff. So overall, offense was the ugly part. There was, I think, only two really good drives we had. For example, right out of the half, Dalton Kincaid got a 50-yard bomb and we got a touchdown really quickly, which was really nice to see. And one of our last drives in the fourth quarter was nice as well. But other than that, yeah, only like 2 really good drives. If we show up like that against Miami, it's going to be really ugly, which I'll get into later. But that game is a very high stakes game for the Bills. Frankly, both the Seahawks and Bills have very high stakes. But yeah,
I also want to say one more thing about the Giants before we move on.
yeah,
I'm really happy with the way like some of our young guys have been playing. Obviously, Jalen Hyatt had a few drops yesterday, which was I think it was the first drive. It was the first third down of the game. Tyrod threw a great pass, and Tyrod's been playing great lately. And I'll give him credit where credit's due. 300 yards. He only had one really bad throw, which was to Jordan Fuller, which was picked off. But Wan'Dale Robinson's been playing well. Bobby Okereke's been balling out all year. Great signing for only $10 million a year. And we have him for the next 3 years. So I think we've got the pieces in place to build a good team. It just this offseason is important for us. But what do you guys think about the Eagles' little meltdown against the Cardinals? I mean, as a Giants fan, I hate the Eagles. And if we won and they lost, it would have been the best day. But it's funny to see them just collapse against an awful Cardinals team.
They're in trouble. They're in trouble, man. They're in big, big trouble. And I think Sirianni is looking at he's not going to be on no hot seat. I mean, their team, the amount
they're
of wins
not
that
going to
they've
be on
got,
hot
they've
seat.
got way too many wins to for him to be being looked at as potentially getting fired. That has a 0% chance of happening. But I'm starting to wonder, is he really a good coach though?
I've been saying since the start of last year that he has been carried by that roster, which is insanely good. I would give all the credit to Howie Roseman, who's constructed a great roster. I don't think that team, and I don't think Sirianni can handle the adversity of a losing streak. And this last really rough patch of the season is probably going to hinder the way they perform in the playoffs. And I mean, if you're an Eagles fan, I guess you could say the season was a failure in the sense of you not getting. I mean, you're obviously in the playoffs, but you're not going to get the 1 seed. So it's like, I don't know. I mean, 11 wins is, to me, as a team who's been awful for a decade, it's an incredible season. But they're in trouble, and I'm ready to watch this thing come crashing down.
Yeah. Now, Sirianni is so actually when you were talking about getting carried by the roster, you have a point there. But I know that a lot of people are also going to point to 2021 when they had no expectations and then they made the playoffs. Was that coaching or was that maybe like an easy schedule? What do you think?
I think it was an easy schedule. I think Jalen Hurts progressed as well. And I think when they changed the play calling in week 10, it went from Sirianni to Shane Steichen. They averaged 7 more points per game. And they had they were what? They were 4-6 or 3-6 at one point.
Yeah.
Then
and then they came back.
They played the Broncos, the Saints, then they lost to the Giants. And then they
went on a 4-game winning streak.
Yeah, and then they lost to Dallas. So I think it's more of the easy schedule, but they've also been able to hit on draft picks. So, but I don't know. It's so hard to truly gauge how good this team is because you could argue they could really be what 9-7 right now. They really could have lost to Kansas City and they should have lost to Buffalo.
Yeah.
Austin, your thoughts?
Wait, so hold up, Bobby. You said that in that 2021 season they switched to Shane Steichen's play calling and they had a better average or something. Wait, can you repeat that stat?
I think they averaged around 7 more points per game.
Okay. Yeah, that I agree with that. I feel like the Eagles team widely is getting hurt by the lack of their coordinators, and we're really seeing that right now. They had some kind of fluky-ish wins. They had a hot 10-1 start, but I think their issue also stems from the fact that I watched this video, which I'll link somewhere. Eagles run a high school offense, and he talks about three main problems. The first one is, especially on offense, they are one of the teams that does not use motion that much. They rank bottom near in terms of using pre-snap motion, and they use shotgun way more than any other team in the league. And in that case, that can hurt you because they like to run the ball a lot. DeAndre Swift's having a breakout year, but running when the quarterback's right behind the center versus shotgun, it's easier with shotgun for the defense to recognize where the run's coming from, hence why some of their runs haven't been as successful. And also, when it comes to play action, which they also do not use a lot, it can lead to the linebackers being moved, so it leaves the middle of the field open. We've seen this in the Niners, the Dolphins as well. A lot of these just high-powered offenses taking advantage of not of diversifying from shotgun and using play action. And we don't see that a lot in the Eagles. So I think their playbook is bland and it is leading them to go with the method of let's just use our star talent because they do have a studded roster and hope that outplays the other team. And also, I think their linebacker core is pretty young and they rely on getting a lot of pressure. Wait,
I
what?
mean, I don't think it's that good. Like, I
The
think the
linebacker
loss,
core?
yeah, I think the loss to TJ
Yeah.
Edwards really hurt them. And I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
they kind of neglected that for such a long time. And then when they got destroyed by the 49ers, because winning really just, it's like, how do I say this? It's, you don't notice your faults until if you're not winning. And they
Exactly,
tried
yeah.
to Darius Leonard or Shaquille Leonard, my fault, as like as a way to like use it as like a patch. It's like putting a bandage on a gunshot wound. It's not gonna do anything because they I think they're gonna go linebacker in the first round. I could see them getting Jeremiah Trotter, but they have to address that linebacker position because they've been getting cooked all year.
Yeah, and also like you have Nakobe Dean, another young guy from Georgia. We all know they love getting Georgia guys because Howie Roseman's cooked at like in a great way at getting talent. But also it's just schematically they lost Javon Hargrave, who I think is a big part of their like elite sack defense. And the fact that their defense, one, they're going through coordinators. Matt Patricia being your interim is just not a great thing, but they rely too much on getting pressure, thinking that their elite defense with some losses right there is going to have the same results, and it leaves the middle of the field more open. So that's, I think, that's their main defensive part, but I feel like I know their offensive faults more than their defense, and I find Eagles fans really ignoring that. Like they think the offense is holy, and I think that's what the team thinks too. They think their talent will just bail them out, or they think they got to rely on that. But in reality, like both their coordinators that they let go of just brought something crucial to that Super Bowl team last year that is not present this year. So I agree with your takes, linebacker, and just they just need to hopefully fix their schemes because their
And
coaching is not working right now.
a lot of their core is starting to age. Like Kelsey's
That's
30.
true.
Brandon
Cox is on a 1 year deal.
Brandon Graham's like 34.
That's
Lane
true.
31. But it's going to be interesting to see how the season finishes. I feel like for some funny reason, I don't think the Giants are going to win. It would be great if they did. Granted, it would screw up our draft position, and I kind of want to get a quarterback.
But they
I
got the
feel
fifth seed locked up, I think, because the Rams are the sixth. They're 9-7. If they
the
even
Eagles
win
could
against
go
the
as high as
Niners, they'll
2
be
and
10
as
and
low as
7. Eagles will be 11-6, right? So like
yeah, but right
they
now
have
they could go
nothing to play for.
as 5. But yeah. And
Yeah.
what are your guys' thoughts on the Ravens really asserting themselves as the top team in the AFC?
Uh,
I mean,
you want to go actually, Mal? No, I
no.
talked a bit. You should go.
Oh, I mean, they're elite. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I mean, well, look, the Dolphins. I mean, you can't like really bash on them for not being able to beat good teams because they did beat Dallas, who is a good team. But like, Not consistently.
Barely.
They can't get good teams consistently, though. That's their issue, and not just that, but they can't. And as you said, barely. But the thing is, they can't like really put up fights against necessarily good teams, other than like Dallas, really. But I'm not gonna try to bash on Miami. They're still great. Baltimore's just, I mean, uh, they're just amazing. Can't say anything more than that.
Yeah,
I
they're
love
so I want to give credit to Miami here. They until maybe mid second quarter, first quarter when it was, 13-14, my Baltimore was up. They were actually putting up a pretty good fight versus Baltimore, but the problem is Tua threw one bad pick deep in Miami territory, which set the Ravens up for an easy touchdown. And they just kept rolling. It was simple as Lamar played like an MVP, and the Ravens are so good that they just keep rolling and rolling. Like they never skipped a beat until late in the second half. I think they only had like 2, 3 and outs that I saw in the highlights. And they were just able to create good separation. Like Zay Flowers absolutely cooked Eli Apple and the safety. Like they just have really good talent. Their defense can force a lot of really good turnovers out of quarterbacks. We thought, especially like Brock Purdy the week before, that we thought wouldn't get as disrupted as heavily as they did. And they lead the league in sacks. So their defense is just stifling. They know how to make good teams crumble. And their offense looks like they don't skip a beat. And I said last week, Lamar didn't deserve MVP. He proved me wrong and got a perfect quarterback rating. He ties Peyton Manning, Kurt Warner, and Tom Brady for I think the 4 QBs that had 3 perfect passing games in their careers. So yeah, I was wrong about it. I think I was just a little misjudged by the fact that we've seen a down year from passing, but we've seen how they are with and without Lamar. And also, they don't have Greg Roman. They have a really good an offensive coordinator from Georgia, which I think also really helps them too. But overall, they just have a stacked team. OBJ said it best. This is one of the best teams in the league, and the best team he said he's been around top to bottom. They are an elite team top to bottom, and realistically, I only see 2 teams stopping them, potentially, Browns and Niners.
I think also for Miami, the loss of Bradley Chubb is big, especially when you're going into the playoffs. And they also lost Jalen Phillips for the year in week 12. And I feel like if you want to win in the playoffs, you have to have some level of pass rush. So many great teams who have won the Super Bowl, like the 2007 Giants, were able to get after the quarterback. And with these losses, I don't really think they would be able to keep up with a team like the Bills, like the Chiefs. Even though Mahomes is having a down year, I just don't think they could generate enough pressure to cause enough fits for them to struggle offensively.
Yeah, that's true. I just wanted to get my quick thoughts on a different topic. I just wanted to talk about Sam Howell's performance real quick against the 49ers. Now, obviously, 49ers are a tough team to play. They got a great defense, great pass rush, great linebackers, good secondary. But he needs to get out of there. They need to get him out of there. It's good for Washington, and it's good for Sam Howell. He's reached 20 interceptions this year, and he has one more touchdown. He has 21 passing touchdowns. And, dude, I mean, my goodness. And he was the league leader in passing yards. He's not even throwing for that much anymore. That's the problem. He's turning the ball over, and it's not his fault. Their offensive line's terrible. I do like their weapons, but I don't know. I mean, look, I don't want to call Eric Bieniemy a bad offensive coordinator or anything like that, but I don't know if Eric Bieniemy is the right coach, the right guy for Sam Howell to be coached by. I think maybe you could send him to Denver. I really think Sean Payton knows how to unleash a quarterback's full potential. I feel like maybe you could send him there. Just send him to a better situation. I love the guy. He sucks, but I love the guy, and I'm rooting for him, and I want him to have a good career. So, just get him out of there. And
That's an interesting take.
I'm rooting for you, Howell.
I haven't heard that many people blame the enemy. So you're like the first or one of the few. Like most people
I'm
are
not
saying they
blaming
want
the enemy,
Rivera.
but I don't know if he's the right coach for a guy like Howell. You know what I'm
I
saying?
think a lot of it falls on Ron Rivera. I think it also falls on the general manager. I don't know who the general manager is, but they've really done, I feel like, besides drafting skill players, I feel like they've kind of whiffed on the last few drafts. I mean, I think it was a mistake of letting Brandon Sheriff walk a few years ago.
Oh yeah, he's the Jags O lineman.
Yeah, that was a big mistake. I feel like Howell could be good in Washington, but I really hope they don't take a quarterback because I don't want the Giants to have to deal with a franchise quarterback in Washington
You
and
want to
have
pick him off 3 times a game, twice a year.
yeah, yeah. Like I feel like they have. It's like I don't want them to. It's so tough with Howell because like he had so much talent coming out of UNC the year before 20. I think 2020 had a great year. 2021 he was terrible. His draft stock plummeted. So it's like if you can, like Mal said, if you can find a coach who can like harness that potential, I think he can be a great quarterback. But
Yeah.
again, Washington has been the place where quarterbacks go to die.
And talking about Eric Bieniemy, I don't know. Like people talk, Patrick Mahomes is in a great system, obviously, and Eric Bieniemy was the offensive coordinator for the Chiefs. But I don't know how much of that really falls on Eric Bieniemy. As a matter of fact, I think that a lot of that could fall on just Andy Reid and what the stuff he was able to do. So Eric Bieniemy coaching Sam Howell, he's not bad. Eric Bieniemy is a good offensive mind, but I don't know if Howell really fits his system. And I think and Howell has struggled himself, but I think Howell needs to get out of there. Looking at his stats, he had 17-28 for 169, a touchdown and 2 interceptions. And I will say a bright side for his performance. He targeted Terry McLaurin 6 times. And McLaurin had the most receiving yards at 61 yards. But he's still not targeting Jahan Dotson, which is a big issue. And he continues to act like Brian Robinson's his number one receiver. He needs to read the field better. And he has work to do, man.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting offseason for Washington. They've got a lot of holes. I feel like last year, I mean, they went 8-1, 7-5-1 at one point, but it's I feel like they were very similar in a way to the Giants, where granted, I think the Giants are a better team, but I think they kind of both had like an easy-ish schedule and they overperformed. I think the Giants obviously were much better and they obviously won a playoff game. They were able to beat the Vikings, which was great. But I think Ron Rivera is getting fired next Monday. He's gone. The new owner Josh Harris is probably going to want to clean house, so bring in his own guys. So it's going to be interesting to see what Washington does.